Hello friends, today finally we got some nice weather here in Ljubljana and I decided to take my bow out for a spin, and it is just before New Year's and I decided to start working on my bow tune, and I'll just share a little bit of insights about that with you. Please do keep in mind I'm no professional archer, but I've been doing archery since 1990 or something like that, so let's say I know a thing or two about it. So today I will use a bear shaft tuning method. There are multiple other methods, but this is for me the simplest one and also quite efficient. It is good enough for my amount of practice to just give me the best setup, yeah, for what I want to achieve. I already did first round. You can see maybe 2 arrows with the fletchings, 1 without, and you can see I was shooting at 20 meters. You can see that the bear shaft is hitting a bit up, a bit high and a bit to the left, and we will try to fix this now. Second round, you can see that the bear shaft is hitting just high, so we fixed actually the left and right, which is good, and we did it just by changing the arrows. Yeah, it's the different type of arrow but also different spine. I will explain this in a sec. This now is the third arrow, and as you can see the bear shaft is hitting just below the fletched arrows, and this is where I will stop this stuff. Now I will go back to my bow, explain some basics and also explain the difference in these arrows and some, let's say, some of my thought process behind it. Just to give you a brief overview, you probably saw it in some of my other videos if you follow my channel. This has been a shooting range for a long time. I think more than 100 years. It was used for the small caliber rifle and pistol, hence 50 meters of the distance. You can see there with the big black target, that's the 50 meters, and I will show you just quickly this place where the targets would pop up. We cover that because it was no use for us archers, and yet there could be some mishap, people falling in or whatever. So I'm not sure if you can see that the gap over there. I will show you the other spot. I will not climb in, but just maybe you can see, and all that was a shaft. So yeah, then I know in the 90s we got this place and we've been shooting here since. You can see the targets are a little bit old, but this is oak, so it should be able to withstand some time. It's the massive frame. Inside are the nylon socks, like what the factories would throw out as a as a not good stuff, we would get it, and that's a fantastic feeling. There is a target from some sort of foam. It's a decent one, and these boxes, they are for our longbow archers who don't require that much stopping capabilities, so they're okay for them. But it's a quite nice spot. There is a road up there, you can see the cars, but a lot of birds. Singing. Birds of prey nest over there somewhere, and there is a river over there. I will maybe show you that also. Now, I've been shooting compound bow for many years. I also tried longbow, recurve, bare bow, but with the compound, I don't know, I get a decent precision with a, let's say, not too much of a practice, or let's say that price is being a time in the shooting range versus the precision, which is performance, is the optimal. For those of you who don't know compound, it is a typically shorter bow with cams, which essentially reduce the holding weight of the bow by anything from 65 to 80%, some even more. Stabilization, that is for the unlimited division. Sight, so front sight, back sight, arrow rest, and then of course arrows. I will prepare this later and I will explain, but essentially arrow consists of the shaft, point, knock, and fletching. I don't know if I mentioned knocking point. What I'm using here is a arrow rest, which you can see this is now in a downward position. When I draw the bow, as the limb goes up, the rest will also get up. So arrow is knocked here, and it sits here. As I said, when I lift this will lift and I'm ready to shoot. I'm using a mechanical trigger where this goes around. I'm clumsy even without holding the camera, so this is now even more. Please keep in mind it's 2 degrees Celsius outside. Essentially, this is how the trigger attaches to the D-loop. This rope is called the D-loop because you can see it is in the shape of D. And then simply draw the bow, aim, and fire. This is actually trigger. So this is called the thumb release, handheld thumb release. You know, obviously because you release it with the thumb. That's it in short. Now I will go back to the tuning. Okay, I prepared the stuff a little bit. I loosened my string that is taking care of, you know, lifting and dropping of my arrow rest, just so you can see how this looks. This for me would be like a very high knocking point. Remember, this is knocking point, and knocking point in combination with the arrow rest defines the angle of the arrow. So, but you know, my tuning with the unfletched arrow, bare shaft arrow, shows me that this bow, this setup requires it in this way. I might change this after I see how the bow will group, but this is my starting point. You saw me shooting 3 times. This was the first group of arrows, 400 spine. This spine defines the hardness or the stiffness of the arrows. Essentially, it means how much it will bend. The lower the number, the stiffer the arrows. The second group was with this. This is different type of arrow, also different stiffness. If you see the length of the arrow, my arrow is longer, but this one is softer, so less stiff. I think the point is heavier. So based on, these are borrowed arrows, this and this are borrowed, and as it doesn't say on them, like it says here 400, I don't see the markings. I measured and compared it with the outside diameter stated at the manufacturer side. This should be 470 spine and a little bit shorter than mine, so I guess maybe that's why the bear shaft is hitting better in terms of left right. And these are 380 spine, but they are longer than mine, or they are roughly the same, maybe even shorter, which then makes sense. I'm not sure about the point. As I said, these are borrowed arrows, so when my friend comes back I need to talk to him what exactly was here. But based on what I can imagine, as this is 400, 380, same length, I would assume that these are just a tad soft. How I came to this? Very simple test. If you assume that or you think your arrow is soft, just unwind the bolts equally on both top and bottom, and see if that helps. After I unwind them 4 full turns, which would be around 8 to 9 pounds, the bear shaft also with mine starting hitting into the group. That's just roughly how I do my setup. There are people who are, you know, really good at shooting bows. They go into details which are beyond what I ever did, but yeah, they are aiming also for the results much higher than I am. For me, with my shooting capabilities, this is I believe more than enough. And also, if you are new into the archery, if you get your arrow, bear shaft arrow, hitting into the group with the fletched ones at the 20 meters, you are good to go. Then as you become better and better, you can start going into more details. Maybe just a little bit on my site. This is what I struggle a long time to set it up properly. As I said, there is a lens inside, there is lens over here, and it's quite difficult to find the proper combo, because once you put the lens here, if the pin doesn't shine nice enough, then the pin will be gone, and maybe you will see your target clear, but you will not see your pin. And then also vice versa, if you don't put it here, you will see the pin, but you will not see the target clearly. I had a small issue because I had a sunshade over here, very long one, and in the back and all the time pin was not as bright as I saw it with my naked eye, you know, when the pin was outside of the housing. I don't know if you can see any better the pin in the middle. And then one day I figured out, you know, I just unscrewed the shade. You can see from the side the shade was here, and everything, you know, came together perfectly. But and then, you know, I just put the shade when the sun is really in the position to bother my shot a lot, and that's it. I just realized that I have arrows of a similar spine, you can see 400, which are shorter than my 400, which doesn't group well. And I will try this now just to see if there is a difference in 1 inch of length, because of course I have enough of these arrows. If I can just shorten them, of course I will be saving some money, not to have to buy new batch of arrows. So let's see how this works. Roughly 20 meters. Let's see. I hope they go at least approximately into the target, so we don't lose them. These arrows are heavier, and you can feel and hear them flying much more calm, much more calm. I don't know if that makes sense, but more stable, let's say, less erratic, or the actual moment of truth. What I didn't mention yesterday, shooting bare shaft requires really, you know, at least decent level of shooting. Decent level of shooting. You know, you don't mess your your front arm and your trigger arm too much. But I need to switch the camera, and you will see it is the same stuff like yesterday. So 1 inch shorter, they still go to the left. So obviously 400, there is no chance of tuning. I will have to stick with the other ones, and, you know, eventually get a new set. One thing that might be useful for you, you might be wondering, you got your bow, you put everything on, how to set up your baseline setup, or how shall we call this? Don't complicate. Put your arrow rest. I will not loosen the string again, but when it's loosened, make sure that string and the arrow are at the 90 degrees angle. That will be your starting point anyway, okay? And then to get it left and right, just put your arrow also on the arrow rest, align your string with the middle of the grip, and make sure that the point sticks just a little bit to the left of the string. These are your starting points, and after that go to bare shaft. If you decide to go this way, if you go to your pro shop and they will take care of that, Maybe you will start with the bare shaft test, which is no, sorry, not with the bare shaft test, but with the paper test, which is also a good approach. But as I said, I don't have the frame. I hate taking the paper with me all the time, so for me the bare shaft is, you know, the most convenient, is the easiest way. Give it a shot. You can always go to something else. Let's see what kind of group we can do at the 40 meters. This is a 40 meters group. Of course, the site is not, you know, properly set up yet, but what we are looking at is a group which for me at this point it's a acceptable one, actually the one that I'm quite happy with. One more. Again, relatively consistent. No flyers, which I was getting before. Much more consistent shooting, gives you confidence. And that's it. Next group, again decent for my current level. I'm happy. Now this is 50 meters, 10 meters further. 50 meters would be roughly 55 yards, so again, decent. Last round for today, 55 yards again, 50 meters. As I said, consistency now is completely different. You can maybe notice that I have mostly the vertical spread now, which could be from my bare shaft hitting a bit lower than the fletched ones, but for me, as I said, this is more than enough at this point. It's December and it is 3.5 degrees Celsius outside. Beautiful weather though. It's not perfect condition for outside shooting. That's a little bit different than what I usually put, but I was thinking, as I'm already here, maybe I can give you a pointer. Very often you find a lot of tutorials, great ones, but maybe too complicated for the beginner. So in this case, bring your bow, take off the fletching of the one arrow, shoot at 20 meters. Arrow hits low, the bear shaft hits low, raise the arrow rest a little bit, arrow shaft hits high, lower the arrow rest, the bear shaft hits to the left. In my case it was the arrow too soft, but if you read the books they might also say the other way around, that to the left the arrow which is too stiff will hit. In that case, unwind the bolts, see if that fixes it, then you know where you are. Once your bear shaft hits a 20 meter, let's say within this of the fletched arrows, your bow is set up okay. Then you work on your technique, and once your technique is at a decent level, you start also the group tuning and all that other stuff. Let me know what you think, let me know if this helped, and of course let me know if I can give you more insights. Until next time, take care.